What's going on, guys? Bijan here. So I think a lot of people are deciding between getting a 135 and a 335. I've owned both, so I'm going to talk about my experiences with both and I'm going to compare them.
She like apples to oranges. That phrase don't make no sense. Why can't fruit be compared?
This channel is all about the automotive industry, so you can learn more about cars, make more informed car decisions, see some cool cars, and ultimately enjoy this industry more. Let's do a quick pull. Turn that off. With that, let's get into it. So I've owned two 335s and I'm currently in a 135. This 135 is an N55. The two 335s I owned were both N54. So they're a slight bit different, but very similar.
Same, but different, but still same.
I think there's a few categories we should hit if we're comparing these cars, right? So let's talk about performance, price, and styling. As far as performance, if you're looking to stay bone stock and just do visual things to the car, you would see about the same benefit from each car. You'd see the same reliability from each car. Now, if you're planning on taking full advantage of what the car comes with, either that single turbo in the N55 or the twins in the N54, I would highly recommend getting an N55 car just as far as reliability. If you're planning on going full on build and modifying everything, doing race coil packs, clutch and flywheel, bigger turbo, fueling, port injection, that sort of thing, you could really go with either car. So that's just my quick talk on reliability.
Next!
As far as performance, you will get similar gains on each car. Now, why is that? That's because an 135 was offered in both N54 variants and N55 variants, just like the 135. So if you have a preference for one engine type or the other, you can go with that specific car. So if you get, I think, a pre-2011 135, you'd get an N54 motor in it, which is the twin turbo. If you get a post-2011 or 2011 plus, you would get an N55, which has a twin scroll single turbo. The next big category we're going to talk about is price. Now, even though these cars are very similar, even though you can get an N54 in both of them or an N55 in both of them, I've noticed that the prices vary significantly between the two cars. So for example, if you want an automatic 135 N54 body, I'm seeing, at least in Southern California, clean title, let's keep the benchmark at just under 100K miles, so 70, 80, 90K miles. You'll see N54 cars in automatic go for 9, 10, maybe 11,000. I'll see N55 DCT cars, which are a much better automatic transmission, go for 11, 12, 13,000. So pretty similar. Now, the thing that gets crazy is once you compare it to getting a manual 135, whether that be N54 or N55, you see prices almost double. So when I was looking for my 135, I love manuals. They're way more fun to me. From when I was 16 and I started driving, I've only owned manuals. This is actually the first automatic that I've ever owned. And the crazy thing is, the prices go up so much. So like I was saying, I was looking at a N55, so I was looking at like the 2011 plus. And in a DCT transmission like this one, I was seeing, 10, 11, 12. Manuals, I was seeing 18, 19, 19 and a half for the exact same car.
Why are you the way that you are?
Same miles, both bone stock, in very good condition, the both of them, but just because it has a manual transmission, markets are all about supply and demand, and the supply is low and the demand is very high for this specific type of car. Now, if we compare that to 335s, if you want an N54 335 in manual, I'm seeing them go for 8 or 9,000 with about 100K miles, maybe 10,000 for a really clean one. If you want an automatic 335 N54 with just under 100K miles and clean title, I'm seeing those go for maybe 6, 7, sometimes 8,000. So in that price range, they're pretty similar as well. Now, the next big jump is when you compare that to N55 335. So N55s, whether they be manual or DCT, if you're gonna get like the IS, you see a huge price jump again. So you're seeing prices, for example, an N55 DCT. If you want, which would be a 335 IS, you're seeing 16, 17, 18,000. Now I understand a 335 IS is not technically just the I series. It is a little nicer of a car. It does have like a nicer rear bumper. It does have a slightly different exhaust. It does have some nicer things to it. So in that situation, I do kind of understand if you're looking for a DCT 335, you have to go with the IS, you're gonna pay a little more money. Fine, that's justified. Now what I don't understand is the price jump into manuals. Now if you want a 335i, that's an N55 in manual, you're gonna be paying in about the high teens. Now some of that is understandable because a 335 N54, you're looking at the years of like 07, 08. If you're looking at N55s, you're gonna be looking at 11, 12, 13. So you're getting a little bit newer car. The likelihood of getting a car with a little lower miles is much more likely. So in that situation, actually, I do understand. So you're seeing, like I said, N54 335s go for 8, 9, 10 in manual. You're seeing N55 335s in manual go for 17, 18, 19. Now that's just as far as price. Now if we go to styling, now this is where it gets the absolute most subjective. So everybody's going to like cars, and cars looks differently. Me personally, my favorite out of the N54 versus N55 and the 335 versus 135, I love how the 335 between 07, 08, and 09 looks. So that's the N54 body with the nice sleek, almost E90 M3 style headlights look. I would add an M Sport front lip to it, and that thing looks very, very cherry. I love how that car looks. So as far as styling, that would be my absolute number one. Now, the close second for me would be the 335 in the N55 variant. Has the same rear end as the N54, but has the LED taillights, which look a little nicer. If you get an IS, it has a little nicer of a rear bumper. Interior is the same, side profile is the same. The only real difference is the headlights as far as styling. And for me, the N55 cars, which includes this 335, has kind of that like bulging, doing makeup look to them, which I'm not a super big fan of, which if I could get better headlights on the 135, I think I would very equally compare the 135 of either N54 or N55 variant to the 335. Personally, I think all cars should be modified, even if it's just a little bit, and kind of adjusted to your personal preferences. So if we're gonna deal with modding them, I would take a 135, which is the one I have now, open up the headlights, black them out, put some nicer LED rings in them, and I would compare that very closely to the 335 N54 that I put at the very top of my list. I would also open up and black out the headlights on the N55 335, just because I think it gives a little nicer of a look. I think it kind of eliminates that like big open eye effect that I think ruins kind of the front end of the car. The car always looks like it's surprised. Like, I'm not super into that. Meanwhile, with the N54, you can basically just leave it how it is as far as the front end and the side goes, and then I would just change out the rear taillights to go LED because they just look a little nicer. Why not? At the time that I was looking for this car, if I could have found another N54 335 or an N55 335 in manual that was a good deal, like this 135, I probably would have hopped on that car over this one. But the deal that I got on this car was way too good for me to pass it up. I went out, checked it out, drove actually a couple hours to see the car, fell in love with it, bought it on the spot. All of that is kind of my point of view. I'm curious to see, what do you guys think? Do you have a 335 or 135? Which one do you prefer? Do you like the N54 body or the N55 body? Is there one that you would take over the other as far as price? Is there one that you prefer over the other as far as styling? Let me know in the comments below. All that being said, guys, I'll see y'all in the next one.